I've been in some bad situations before, dodging bounty hunters, sweet-talking loan sharks, and for a brief but horrifying moment, being trapped inside a malfunctioning escape pod with an enraged, sharp-toothed rodent. But this is a new low. I, Phil Paul, interstellar tradesman, read smuggler, am currently locked in a high-security alien prison for a crime I barely committed. And to make matters worse, my cellmate is extremely distracting. She's not human, that much is obvious. Solara has shimmering lavender skin, bright bioluminescent markings glowing faintly across her collarbone, and golden waves of hair that look like they belong on an old Earth holovid starlet. Her lips are deep red, and her luminous eyes track me with the sharp curiosity of a scientist observing a newly discovered specimen. "So," she purrs, tilting her head, "you're a human." With a sigh, I drop onto the metal bunk opposite hers. The chill seeps through my thin jumpsuit, making me shiver. "Yeah, last time I checked." Her lips curl into a knowing smile. "Fascinating. I've always wondered, do human males really function without pheromone bonds? Or do you just stumble through attraction like clueless little space deer?" I blink. What? Solara leans forward, studying me intently. A faint, electric floral scent fills the air between us. "Your scent. It's so muted. I can't tell a thing. Are you nervous, intrigued, or already falling hopelessly in love with me?" I press my fingers to my temples. "Lady, I just got tossed into a space prison. Forgive me if I'm not really in the mood for—" Before I can finish, she reaches out, her fingers brushing against my arm. Her touch is cool and impossibly smooth. Her eyes widen, delighted. "Oh, your skin is so warm." I yank my arm away. "You don't just grab people." Solara laughs, utterly unbothered. "I like you, Jack. You're so flustered." I groan and flop back against the hard bunk, staring at the dull metal ceiling. "This is going to be a long sentence." She stretches, feline-like, her body moving with lazy grace. "Could be worse," she muses. "I could have been locked in with a Xylarian. They shed scales everywhere." "How comforting," I mutter. Solara just grins. Later she finally stops teasing me long enough to explain her escape plan. Turns out she'd already been working on one before I was dumped into her cell. "You're lucky you got me as a cellmate," she brags, lounging like a queen on her bunk. "I was already halfway to freedom before they caught me last time." I freeze mid-crawl. "Wait, last time?" Solara grins, the soft glow of her markings pulsing with amusement. "They keep underestimating me." With practiced ease, she pulls up a loose panel in the wall, revealing a cramped ventilation shaft humming with alien machinery. "I've been widening this for weeks. We slip through here, drop into the maintenance tunnels, snag a guard's keycard, and we're out. Simple. Yeah, sure, because escape plans never go wrong." Solara winks, flipping a golden curl over her shoulder. I do love a man with optimism. We wait for lights out, the prison sinking into an eerie hush before slipping into the vent. The metal is icy against my palms as I drag myself forward, the shaft barely wide enough for my shoulders. Ahead of me, Solara moves effortlessly, her lithe frame twisting through the tight space with feline grace. Her scent lingers in the confined air, a heady mix of something electric and faintly sweet. "You know," she calls softly, her voice teasing, "for an experienced rogue, you're not very quiet." I grunt as my elbow scrapes against a jagged edge. "Not all of us are built like contortionist supermodels." She giggles. "I am rather impressive, aren't I?" We reach the end of the shaft, where Solara pries open another loose panel, revealing the dimly lit maintenance corridor beyond. She peeks out, her bioluminescence dimming slightly as she listens. "All clear," she whispers before slipping out. I follow, rolling my shoulders in relief at finally having space to move. Solara doesn't hesitate. She heads for the nearest security panel, pulling a slim tool from her sleeve. It hums faintly as she works, her fingers moving over the controls with practiced ease. I lean against the wall, watching her. How do you even know how to do this? She flashes me a smirk. Oh, Jack, there's so much you don't know about me. Before I can press further, the alarms blare. Red warning lights pulse, bathing the corridor in a crimson glow. My stomach drops. Tell me that was part of the plan. Solara curses, spinning toward me. They must have changed the security cycle early. We need to move, now. We take off, boots pounding against metal as the distant hum of security drones grows louder. Suddenly, Solara yanks me into a narrow alcove, pressing me against the cold wall. Her body is flush against mine, radiating warmth. Her breath brushes my cheek. "Hold still," she whispers. Before I can react, she tilts her head, her lips brushing against mine in a feather-light tease. My pulse spikes. Every nerve in my body locks onto her. Her scent, the softness of her against me, the way her fingers skim up my arm, leaving a trail of heat in their wake. I barely manage a strangled, "What?" before she silences me with a real kiss. And it is real. It's not just for cover, not just a distraction. There's intent in the way she moves, a slow, deliberate pull that makes my mind stutter. Without thinking, I respond, gripping her waist, pressing her closer as she hums against my lips in approval. For a moment, the alarms fade, the prison fades. There's only her. Then, just as suddenly, she pulls back, mischief dancing in her golden eyes. "You taste interesting," she muses, licking her lips as if savoring the moment. I blink, struggling to keep up. Was that part of the plan?" She grins. "Not exactly, but I've been wanting to do that." I exhale, my mind still spinning. "You are dangerous." "Flattering." She grabs my hand. "Now come on, darling. Time to run." We take off again, dodging around corners as the warden's voice booms through the speakers, demanding all prisoners return to their cells. We're almost to the final checkpoint when a massive silhouette steps into our path. The warden, a towering brute of an alien with too many eyes and even more muscle. Solara skids to a halt. "Ah, well, this is inconvenient." "Inconvenient?" I hiss. "He's blocking the only exit." She sighs dramatically. "Looks like we'll have to retreat." I glance back. The security drones are closing in. "And where exactly to?" She grins. "Guess." Before I can argue, she yanks me toward a side corridor, the one leading back to our cell. The escape attempt is over. For now. Back in our cell. The door slams shut behind us. I collapse onto my bunk, dragging a hand through my hair. That was a disaster. Jack slumped against the cold metal, frustration knotting in his chest. They had been so close. A few more seconds and they might have made it. Solara hums, stretching like a satisfied cat before flopping onto the bed beside me. "It was fun." I turn my head to glare at her. "We almost got caught." She shrugs. "We'll try again. I have a new plan." I groan. "Of course you do." A beat of silence passes. Then she shifts closer, fingers trailing absently down my arm. A shiver races through me. "You know," she murmurs, "I really did want to kiss you." I exhale slowly, the memory of her lips still fresh. "Yeah?" She nods, glowing eyes locked onto mine. "Yeah." I don't think. I just move. This time I kiss her, deeper, slower. She responds instantly, fingers tangling in my hair, pulling me closer. The world outside fades again, leaving only heat, only the soft sigh she makes as my lips trail lower, down the curve of her throat. The night stretches on, filled with whispered words and slow, deliberate touches. It's not hurried, not frantic like our escape. It's something else, something real. And when she finally rests her head against my chest, her breathing slow and steady, I realize something terrifying. I don't want to escape alone. I want her with me, and that might be the most dangerous part of all. The thought unsettles me. I've always worked alone, relied on myself. But now, the idea of slipping through the stars without Solara at my side feels wrong, dangerous in a way I've never considered before. The next morning. When morning comes, we go over yesterday's disaster of an escape attempt. Solara just smiles, that infuriating, knowing smile that makes it clear she's already 5 steps ahead. It was a necessary setback, Jack. The plan is still in motion, and now we know what we're dealing with. I let out a frustrated sigh. Yeah, well, it's a hell of a plan. She grins. You'll see. I don't know whether I'm supposed to trust her or be very concerned. Being around Solara is like playing a game of 3-dimensional chess against someone who already knows all the moves, and I'm just here for the ride. Part of me wants to tell her to slow down, to stop treating everything like a game, but I can't deny that her chaos works. Somehow, it always works. That night, when the lights dim and the prison settles into its eerie hum, Solara pulls up the loose panel in the wall once more. This time there's no teasing, no playful glances. This time she's serious. We do it my way, she says, voice low and firm. No distractions. I arch an eyebrow. What, no flirting this time? She flicks her gaze toward me, her expression unreadable. Focus, Jack. We have one shot. I don't argue. This is it. She leads me through the vent again, but this time there's an urgency to her movements. Her hands are steady, her body tense with focus. My pulse hammers as we crawl through the cramped space, the faint hum of the prison's night cycle droning beneath us. This is where the patrols change, she whispers as she slips through a narrow gap. We have to time this perfectly. One wrong move and we're back in the cell, or worse. We drop into the maintenance tunnels. The air smells of old machinery and grease, the dim light casting long, shifting shadows along the walls. Solara moves like she was made for this, darting from cover to cover, her bioluminescence barely flickering. I watch the way she moves, seamless, fluid. She belongs here, a shadow in the night. I thought you were just digging holes in the wall, I mutter as we pause behind a rusted panel. She smirks. The shaft was just the start. I've been planning this escape for months. I know this place better than I know my own ship. I'm starting to believe her. We push forward, every step measured, until we reach a maintenance door leading outside. Solara stops short and motions for me to crouch. I listen, straining for the telltale sound of approaching guards. Okay, she whispers, this is the critical part. There's a guard stationed just beyond this door. I'll handle him. You make sure no one else gets in our way. I frown. Handle it? How exactly? She glances at me, a glint of mischief in her golden eyes. Just stay close. I'm going to do what I do best. Before I can ask what that means, she's already moving toward the door. She presses her back against the cold metal, peering around the corner with a practiced eye. I follow her lead, keeping low, but I already have a sinking feeling. I know Solara by now, and I know that when she says she has a plan, it's going to be messy. And then, just as I'm bracing for something reckless, she does something that completely defies my expectations. She steps into view. Flipping her golden hair back in a slow, calculated motion, she moves like she's stepping onto a stage. Her bioluminescent markings pulse in a rhythmic glow, subtly shifting in color, drawing attention in a way that's almost hypnotic. The guard stiffens, clearly caught off guard. "Hey, big guy," she calls out smoothly, sauntering forward with deliberate, unhurried steps. Her voice is silk, curling around the air between them. "Is that really the kind of uniform you wear on patrol? You should let me help you out of it." I watch, stunned, as the guard hesitates, his posture slackening slightly. I hear the subtle whir of his sensors recalibrating, his mechanical gaze flickering between Solara and the prison systems, as if he can't quite decide where to focus. Solara closes the distance with effortless confidence, standing just within arm's reach now, her luminous eyes locked onto his. "Your security settings seem a little off, don't you think?" she murmurs, tilting her head just enough to catch the dim light, and I realize she's distracting him perfectly.